So the other big issue, the big topic that's really, it's in the media right now is affordability. There is a big affordability problem. We've seen, if you look at, I can just talk about our market here in Florida. If we think about it, in the last 10 years, we've seen around a 50% increase in home values in some instances. And if you consider incomes of what people are making, they're not even remotely close to that. So what does that cause? That then pushes people into renting because they have an affordability problem to buy a home. So we've had an inventory shortage where there are a lot of influx of buyers who did not have the affordability issues, forcing these people that would have liked to have bought a home into renting. And frankly, they're now trapped in a hamster wheel that they can't get off because the affordability gap is now too high. So do you think that's a problem that's going to be continuing to go on? Because I don't see how that's solved.
I don't see how that's solved either, really, unless, the only way that's solved is if people increase their income, and that is not something that everyone can do. I think that a lot of people will be lifelong renters. But I saw a really interesting video the other day going through TikTok, and it was saying about how you're comparing people who bought a home in the 80s comparing people who buy a home today. And they said the difference in renting in the 80s is that your rent was very expensive to be in a home. Was very cheap, but the items that you purchased, like TV, microwave, stereo system, those were expensive items. TV back in the 80s was
it's funny. I can remember as a kid growing up in England, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. I know I don't look it, but I did. I know no one watching this will believe it, but it's true. But seriously,
we have a filter on here. That's why.
He's going to edit the wrinkles out. No, but seriously, I remember like a house. I remember 1987. I remember my parents bought a house in England, and it was £87,000. So you could say like $95,000, whatever. And I remember the big TV that we got at that time was like £2,000. Now, if you think about it today, that same house would be £400,000, and that equivalent TV would be £300.
Yeah, and that's what I found really interesting about that video is they said people who compare buying.
Well, people used to rent. People used to rent TVs because they could not afford TVs. It was too big an investment.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying is the luxuries were more expensive compared to renting, so people didn't have those luxuries.
Right.
Whereas now the rent is still expensive, but those luxuries are cheaper. And the argument is that people didn't buy those luxuries because they couldn't afford it, so they saved the money up instead. Nowadays, people will go and buy those luxuries, and they'll keep buying them. We are a very
we're a materialistic society, and
society.
We're also a egotistical society in the sense that we don't want to be seen to have the old iPhone.
And I think that comes with the development of social media.
100%.
20 years ago, no one cared what kind of handbag you had, whereas nowadays, if you don't have a Louis Vuitton, who are you?
I don't have one.